My adopted sister humiliated me at her $10,000 party, but when my millionaire aunt revealed who the inheritance was for, my parents were left speechless, and she never saw it coming. I'm 19 years old, I'm in my second year of college, and I need to tell this story because what happened a few months ago basically destroyed my family. Or well, what was left of it. I guess I should start at the beginning. When my parents adopted my sister Isabella, I was like a year old when she arrived, so we basically grew up together. But the truth is, we were never close. And now I understand why. For as long as I can remember, Isabella was always the favorite. And when I say favorite, I don't mean they gave her a little more attention. No. I mean, it was literally like I was invisible, and she was a princess. My parents bought her everything she wanted. Like, absolutely everything. Did she want a new iPhone every year? She got it. Did she want designer clothes? No problem. Did she want a huge birthday party with a budget like $10,000? Of course she did. I, on the other hand, had to work since I was 15 to buy my own things because my parents always said there wasn't enough money for both of us, but somehow there was always money for Isabella. The thing is, Isabella wasn't just spoiled. She was genuinely a horrible person. She was conceited, entitled, and she loved rubbing it in my face every chance she got. In high school, she was the popular one, the one everyone wanted to know, and I was, the weird older sister who got good grades but didn't have many friends. She made sure everyone knew I was the family loser. I remember once in the cafeteria when I was like 16 and she was 15, and she literally told her whole table that I was adopted. Total lie. And that's why my parents didn't love me. Everyone laughed, and I had to go to the bathroom to cry. When I told my parents that night, you know what they said? That Isabella was just joking and I was too sensitive. The situation got worse when I got to college. I got a partial scholarship to a decent public university, but I still had to take out student loans because my parents said they couldn't help me financially. Isabella, meanwhile, kept living like a queen at home, not worrying about anything. I'd come home during breaks and it was like entering a different world. Isabella had her own car, a 2020 BMW. Nothing too extravagant according to my parents, while I took the bus. She had a renovated bedroom with new furniture and a 55-inch TV, and my room was still the same as when I left, with the same furniture from when I was 12. But anyway, I managed. I focused on my studies, worked part-time at a coffee shop near campus, and basically accepted that's just how things were. I thought that once I graduated and got a good job, I could get away from all that and never look back. What I didn't expect was what happened on my 19th birthday, which was like 6 months ago. Turns out Isabella was going to turn 18 a few days after my birthday, and my parents were planning a massive party for her. Like, they had rented an event hall, hired a DJ, catering, the whole thing. Knew my birthday was going to be ignored as always. But that year I thought, well, at least I'm at college and don't have to be there to see it. But then my mom called me and told me I had to come home that weekend because an aunt I hadn't seen in years was going to be visiting and wanted to see me. Specifically me, my mom said, which was weird because we never talked about this aunt. The aunt in question was my mom's older sister, and apparently she was super successful, like an executive at a big company or something. I had seen her like twice in my life and barely remembered her. My mom said the aunt was going to arrive the weekend of my birthday and wanted to take me to dinner. Just the two of us. That seemed strange, but also, I don't know, interesting? Maybe finally someone in my family wanted to pay attention to me. I got home Friday night and the house was, of course, full of decorations for Isabella's party that was going to be the following Saturday. There were balloons, everywhere, banners with her name, all that crap. My mom barely greeted me. She was too busy on the phone about some detail of the party. Isabella was in her room trying on dresses, and basically ignored me when I walked past her door. My dad was in the garage, organizing whatever things, and, basically, a normal Friday at my house. Saturday morning, my aunt arrived. She was a tall, elegant woman, with that air of someone who has a lot of money and knows what she's doing with her life. She greeted me with a hug that felt genuine, which was weird. She told me happy birthday, which was technically Sunday, but well, at least she remembered, and asked me how college was going. We talked for a while in the living room while my parents ran around preparing things for Isabella's party. My aunt watched them with an expression I couldn't decipher, like she was evaluating something. Then my aunt told me to change clothes because she was going to take me to an elegant lunch to celebrate my birthday. My parents barely noticed when we left the house. In the car, a Mercedes S-Class, because of course she drove a Mercedes, my aunt started asking me questions about my life, my plans, what I was studying, if I was happy. I told her everything, and I don't know why, but I ended up venting about Isabella and my parents and how horrible I always felt. She just listened, nodding occasionally, without interrupting me. When I finished talking, she looked at me and said something that left me frozen. She said she knew. That she knew my parents treated Isabella better than me, and that she had come specifically because she wanted to do something about it. I asked her what she meant, and she just smiled and said to wait until Isabella's party. That confused me so much. But I decided not to push further. That night was Isabella's party. The event hall was full of people. Isabella's friends, schoolmates, even some neighbors. There was a huge table with food. A beverage bar, non-alcoholic obviously, but like those fancy drinks, a professional photographer, and a 3-tier cake that probably cost more than my semester tuition. Isabella was in her element, wearing an expensive dress and professional makeup, receiving gifts and attention from all sides. My aunt was sitting at a separate table, watching everything with that same indecipherable expression. I was trying to make myself invisible in a corner, eating shrimp and wishing I was back in my college dorm. Then came the speeches. My parents gave a super emotional speech about how proud they were of Isabella, how special she was, how much they loved her. Isabella cried crocodile tears and hugged my parents. Everyone applauded. I felt like throwing up, but then Isabella asked for the microphone and said she wanted to say a few words. Oh God, this is going to be long, but it's important. Isabella started by saying how grateful she was to my parents for everything they had done for her. And then, and this is what still makes my blood boil, she started talking about me. She said, and I quote, as exactly as possible because it's burned into my brain. Sister, I know you've had difficulties and that you haven't always been able to be as successful as me, but I want you to know that it's okay. Not everyone can be popular or successful, and it's okay to be just average. I know you don't have as many friends as me or that your grades aren't as good. Total lie. My grades were better. But Mom and Dad have taught me that we should be compassionate with less fortunate people, even if those people are family. The room was silent. I was paralyzed, feeling like I had been punched in the stomach. Isabella continued, with that sweet and fake voice she used when she wanted to seem kind. I want to dedicate this party to you too, sister, because I know you'll probably never have a party like this. But I hope you can at least enjoy this experience through me. We all need to know our place in the family, right? Some people in the room seemed uncomfortable. Others were confused, but nobody said anything. My parents were smiling like idiots, as if Isabella had just given the most beautiful speech in the world. I wanted to disappear, literally sink into the floor and stop existing. Tears started running down my face, and I was about to get up and leave when my aunt stood up. She walked to where Isabella was with the microphone and took it from her hands. Isabella looked confused and a bit annoyed. My aunt turned to the crowd and said, well, since we're sharing truths tonight, I think there's something Isabella and all of you should know. She looked directly at Isabella and said, Isabella, honey, I'm your biological mother. I gave you up for adoption to my sister 18 years ago because at the time I wasn't ready to be a mother and wanted to focus on my career. The silence in that room was deafening. Isabella went white. My parents looked horrified, and I was in total shock. My aunt continued, I came tonight not just to reveal this, but also because I've been watching how you've treated these two girls for years, and I'm disgusted. Isabella, you've been pampered and spoiled to the point of becoming a horrible person, and that's your adoptive parents' fault, but also yours for allowing yourself to be that way. Then my aunt turned to me and took something out of her purse, an envelope. She handed it to me and said, This is my real birthday gift for you. Inside the envelope was a check, a blank check. Literally blank, with her signature at the bottom. My aunt said, Fill this out with whatever amount you need to pay for your college, buy a car, or whatever makes you happy. You deserve it more than anyone in this family. Isabella started screaming. Screaming hysterically. She started saying it wasn't fair, that I didn't deserve that money, that she was the one who had always been the favorite and things should stay that way. She tried to snatch the check from my hands, But my aunt got between us. My parents finally reacted and started yelling at my aunt, saying she had no right to do this, that she was ruining Isabella's party, that I didn't deserve that money because I hadn't done anything special with my life. My aunt responded with impressive calmness, saying they had had 18 years to be good parents to both girls and they had failed miserably. Then she took my arm and got me out of there while Isabella kept screaming and crying, and my parents tried to calm her down. Outside, in the parking lot, I could finally breathe. My aunt hugged me and told me I would stay with her that night and for as long as I needed, that I never had to go back to that house if I didn't want to. And that's what I did. I moved in with my aunt to her huge apartment in the city. It was like living in another world. She had a guest room that was bigger than my room at my parents' house, with its own bathroom and everything. She told me I could stay as long as I wanted, that there was no rush. My parents started bombarding me with messages the next day. Hundreds of messages saying I needed to come home, that I should give the check back to Isabella, that I was being selfish and ungrateful. Isabella also sent me messages, alternating between insulting me and begging me to give her the money. I ignored them all for days, just focusing on studying for my final exams and trying to process everything that had happened. But then something occurred to me. A slightly twisted idea, I admit. But after 19 years of being treated like garbage, I felt I deserved a little fun. I sent my parents a message saying I was willing to give Isabella the check, but only if they met certain conditions. First, my parents had to make a public apology on Facebook acknowledging they had treated me badly my whole life and detailing exactly how they had done it. Second, they had to publicly disown Isabella, basically say she was no longer their favorite daughter and that they were going to treat her the same as me from now on, meaning, like garbage. I knew they would never do it, but I wanted to see them suffer a little trying to decide. And oh God, it was glorious. For days, my parents and Isabella went crazy trying to negotiate with me. They called me from different numbers because I had blocked theirs, sent me messages through fake social media accounts, even tried to get some distant relatives to contact me. Isabella was apparently having daily breakdowns, crying and screaming that she needed that money for her future, that I was stealing it from her. My parents were desperate. They offered me things, like paying half my college if I gave them back the check, buying me a used car, giving me my own renovated room when I came back home. But I held my position firm. The conditions were non-negotiable. The funny thing was I never intended to give them the check. No matter what they did. I just wanted to see how far they were willing to go for Isabella. After like a week of this, the situation exploded again. Isabella somehow found out where my aunt lived, probably by stalking me on social media or something, and showed up at the apartment on a Tuesday afternoon. I was alone because my aunt was at work. Isabella started banging on the door, screaming to let her in, that we needed to talk. I made the mistake of opening the door thinking maybe, just maybe, she was going to be reasonable. Wrong. As soon as I opened the door, Isabella forced her way in, screaming that I was a selfish bitch and I was ruining her life. She accused me of manipulating our aunt, of lying about how they had treated me, of being a dramatic liar. I tried to stay calm and told her to leave, but she refused. She started going through the apartment looking for the check, opening drawers and closets like a crazy person. I had to call my aunt at work and she immediately called building security to get Isabella out. When security arrived, Isabella made a massive scene, screaming that I had stolen something that belonged to her, that it was her money, and security took her out while she kept screaming and crying. It was humiliating for her, which, I'm not going to lie, gave me some satisfaction. But it didn't end there, oh no. The next day, my parents and Isabella showed up at my aunt's apartment, all three together. They started banging on the door, demanding to talk to me. My aunt opened the door and told them to leave or she'd call the police. My parents started yelling at her, saying she had ruined their family, that she had no right to interfere in how they raised their daughters. Isabella was crying again, begging someone to give her the money. My aunt stayed calm and told them they had 30 seconds to leave or she'd call the police. They didn't leave, so she called the police. When the police arrived, my parents were still there, screaming about how I had stolen from their favorite daughter. Neighbors had come out to see what was happening. It was a total disaster. The police basically told my parents to leave and not come back or face harassment charges. After that, I finally had peace. I blocked all the numbers I knew from them, blocked all their social media, and asked my aunt to do the same. I went back to college after the holidays and filled out the check for exactly enough to pay off my student loans and buy a decent used car, a 2018 Honda Civic. Nothing fancy but perfect for me. I opened my own bank account at a different bank than the one I used before, just to be sure they couldn't track it in any way. It's been like 6 months since all that. I haven't spoken to my parents or Isabella since then. My aunt says Isabella is apparently going to therapy now, because the whole thing traumatized her, which, honestly, makes me laugh a little. My parents apparently told the whole extended family that I'm a thief and I abandoned them, but most of the family actually took my side when they found out the whole story through my aunt. I'm back at college, focusing on my studies. Without student loans hanging over my head, I can really enjoy the college experience. I made new friends, got a paid internship for the summer, and honestly, I'm happier than I've been in years. Sometimes I think about my parents and Isabella and I feel something. I don't know if it's sadness or pity, or just nothing. I guess part of me still wants them to love me, or at least acknowledge what they did to me, but another part of me knows that's never going to happen and that's okay. My aunt has become something like a real mother figure to me. We talk regularly, she visits me at college, gives me advice about life and career. She told me that what she did at Isabella's party she had been planning for months, that she had been saving that money specifically for me because she knew my parents would never help me with college. She told me she regretted not intervening sooner, letting my parents treat me like that for so long. I don't know what will happen with Isabella or my parents in the future. Maybe Isabella will mature and become a better person, though I doubt it. Maybe my parents will eventually realize how horrible they were, but I don't think so either. The truth is, I don't care that much anymore. I've built a life without them, and I'm okay with that. Better than okay, actually. Sometimes I still feel guilty for manipulating them with the check thing, for making them think they had a chance to get it back. But then I remember all the times they humiliated me, all the times they chose Isabella over me, all the tears I cried, feeling invisible and insignificant in my own family, and that guilt disappears. Maybe that makes me a bad person. I don't know. But after 19 years of being the forgotten daughter, I think I deserved at least one moment of watching them suffer as much as they made me suffer.